So it turned out in 1990, when I started design school, is when I started drinking beer. Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of this thing I call Chosen Idea. My name is Marko. For those of you who haven't been here before, I usually go into a big spiel about what I do and who I am. You can check out some of my other episodes for that whole thing. It's really not that exciting. But yeah, check out some of my other episodes anyways, because I need it. So to explain why I haven't been here in a while, I took on a job several months ago. It was some crazy hours and a lot of late nights, and unfortunately it took me away from doing this. So today is Saturday, and this past Monday I took on a new gig that promises to give me, or a new job that promises to give me a little bit more time to work on this stuff in the evenings. Essentially have a life, because I do this stuff for fun. I don't consider it work. Today's actually my birthday, which I know some people are going to be like, what's this guy doing YouTube episodes on his birthday for? Well, like I said, this is something I do for fun, so I don't really consider this work. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my A7C, obviously. In particular, an accessory I got for my A7C, which has really made me fall in love with the camera all over again. But before I do that, I'm going to explain the shirt that I've got on, the ILM pod racing shirt. It's actually the Team ILM. This is the team that worked on the pod racing in the Star Wars movie. It was a SIGGRAPH conference of 1999 that I went to. Those not familiar with SIGGRAPH, it's this conference for 3D geeks like myself who are into 3D computer graphics. And I went to several of the conferences over the years. I don't even know what they've been doing during the pandemic about the SIGGRAPH conference. Not sure I don't think they've been running it. I'm sure it'll be back again soon. Anyway, my now brother-in-law was with me at the conference, and he's very connected in the industry in Hollywood and hooked me up with, well, not only this shirt, he's hooked me up with all kinds of stuff throughout the years, but this is one of the shirts, and the orange is actually a really tough one to find, and there's going to be some Star Wars geeks out there going, that should be in some sealed box or something or whatever. Well, unfortunately, this shirt's not in the condition a collector would want it anyway, because it's got like some, extra ventilation, that's ever expanding here. So I thought I would immortalize the shirt on YouTube, so when it falls apart, there'll still be this record that it existed, right? So there was kind of a funny story. I know I'm going off on a tangent. I do that often, for those of you who haven't been here before. Between 1990 and 2000, I found something really weird happening to my t-shirts. And I have a lot of cool t-shirts, most of which I haven't bought myself. I've gotten them either at conferences or as gifts or something. Anyway, I've got a lot of cool t-shirts. Like between 1990 and 2000, something weird was happening with my t-shirts. It was like moths were attacking just this like one spot on my shirt. There you go. I couldn't quite figure out what was going on. So it turned out in 1990, when I started design school, is when I started drinking beer. And because of the twist off beer caps, like when your hands were wet, they'd sometimes slide on these things, and me with my delicate computer guy hands, and you can guess where this is going. I used to put the bottle under my shirt, and that's how I'd open that. And anyway, it took me a whole 10 years to figure out why I was getting the holes in my shirt. Yeah, it's okay. And for those of you wondering, no, nobody stole my hat, and yes, I do have hair. There's something left here, but there are some cool guys out there, like Jason Statham. It's all less hair than me. Anyways, and those toupee guys, I'm not going to get on your case. And where do you even buy those things anyways? So I know you spend your lives worried that we can tell, well, that's because we can from like a mile away, and just stop doing that. Like I said, Jason Statham, come on. He like epitomizes cool, right? If you guys aren't Jason Statham fans, well then, that's okay. You don't have to be a Jason Statham fan. All right, so on to the episode about this awesome camera case from a company called Limbs. Apparently they designed these cases themselves. The bottom consists of an aluminum plate that includes an Arca Swiss dovetail. So I've always loved rangefinder cameras, and it's not because I started with a rangefinder. I started with, first sort of professional camera I started with was my dad's old Minolta, which was not a rangefinder. But I've always loved the cleanliness of the rangefinder design. Well, yeah, what I mean by rangefinder design is when you're looking at the back of the camera, the modern rangefinder design has EVF on the left-hand side. What I mean by modern rangefinder design is that the old rangefinders didn't have an EVF. Nothing had an EVF. The idea of the rangefinder was that you had this separate optic, separate from the actual camera lens, that you were looking through, that sort of gave you an approximation of your composition. And you were essentially looking straight through the camera body and this little tiny lens on the opposite side that wasn't your actual camera lens. It was purely to compose your shot. Now, later on they came out with designs where you're actually looking through the lens, which made a lot more sense. You had a much better idea of your true composition and what your lens was going to give you. And so the rangefinder design is sort of an older design, but it doesn't have the drawbacks now like it did back then, because you are now looking through an EVF, so you are getting a true representation of your composition. But anyway, the rangefinder design is probably what attracted me to Sony's mirrorless lineup in the first place, back in the day when I had my NEX5. And it probably is part of what kept me in the APS-C lineup so long. Then I decided one day I wanted to try the full frame thing, and I bought my A7 III. The A7 III was awesome, apart from occasionally overheating and the record time limit. Me, I'm a video guy, so the record time limit was a little bit of a bugger. But then Sony introduced the A7C, and I immediately fell in love. Here we had a rangefinder style camera with a full frame sensor and all the goodness that came with my A7 III, but in this more compact, sleek package. So it also came with the silver top option, which I absolutely had to go with because for nostalgia reasons, I had a silver top Minolta, my dad's Minolta, the one I started with, and I thought that would be really cool. But what was missing was the half case on it. Actually, something else my dad always had on his camera was a half case, and it did do quite a bit to protect the camera, but I just really like the look of the half case. It sort of completes the vintage look. What I mean by half case is it covers just the bottom half of the camera. Back in the day, they used to have full cases, which were essentially the same as a half case, but they had this top that would flap over the camera and actually over your entire lens as well. Unfortunately, you were limited to the size of the lenses you could use if you were using a full case. I think that's probably why nobody uses full cases anymore. But anyway, I really love the look of a half case, so I was on a mission to find the best half case for me, or just the best half case for the A7C period. It didn't matter whether it was real leather or if I went the vegan route. I just wanted the best available out there. Part of loving a camera is the aesthetic. I want to be excited about picking it up. There's so many good cameras out there. In fact, there are very few bad cameras out there nowadays. It's really difficult to go wrong if you're picking a camera from one of the major manufacturers right now. And of course, Sony is no exception. Fantastic cameras, almost all of them right now. So this was not the first case that I had bought for this camera. I had actually bought another half case. It was a vegan option, and it was a lot cheaper than this one. It wasn't because I was cheaping out or looking for a deal. It just looked really nice online. I had bought it on eBay. I bought this one on eBay too. And when it arrived, immediately I was thinking to myself, wow, this is horrible. The fit and finish was just terrible. It wasn't something I'd be happy with on my camera. So I'd seen the limbs design case before, and the reason I was sort of avoiding it and went the other route with the other case was the fact that the limbs is built on this aluminum plate. The whole idea of buying the A7C was to have something sleek, compact, and to save some weight. I like traveling. But anyway, looking at it a little bit closer, I was thinking to myself, well, I normally would have an Arca Swiss plate on the bottom of my camera all the time. I always have one, a really small mini one, and I don't typically line it up with the camera body when it's mounted to the bottom. And the one that's on this case, the dovetail or the Arca Swiss plate that's on this case, runs in line with the camera body, which is actually super cool because nothing sort of juts out of the camera. Everything remains really sleek. But then I thought to myself, well, all the quick release plates on my, tripods, my gimbal, my slider, I'm going to have the plate like sideways on all these things. Anyway, after a little bit of messing around before I went ahead and ordered the case, I realized that wasn't going to be such a big deal, and it would be really cool to have this plate built right into my case. So anyway, I went ahead and ordered it. So when it came, it immediately confirmed that I made the right move. It just so nicely made, this case. And I also went ahead and bought a matching strap for it. Limbs does not make this strap that I bought. This strap is made by a different manufacturer. So you'll notice how I've got my camera strap latched to the camera itself. It's not your typical setup. It's not the traditional way of connecting the strap to the camera, so a little departure from the vintage thing there, because I do require taking the camera strap off quickly. You're probably asking yourself, why not go with a Peak Design setup? First of all, that's not going to be conducive to this look, and secondly, I've tried the whole Peak Design thing and I actually can't stand it. I know it's very popular and a lot of my friends shoot with the Peak Design setup. I just don't like it. I don't like the plastic fobs bouncing around everywhere. I don't like them stuck under my hand while I'm holding my camera. People go on about how cameras feel in their hands. Meanwhile, they've got these, these plastic fobs, stuck under their hands. Or they're sticking up everywhere, or they're flopping around in the wind. I hate them. So what I've done here is I've got these little mini carabiners that I picked up on eBay as well. I bought like a bag of 6 of them or something like that. They were about $5, and they work fantastic. I can quickly take the strap off, put it on. And if you're wondering about the little rings attached to the camera body, the strap rings, the little ring mount on the camera has a tiny rubber O-ring on it, so that avoids any noises when it gets windy. So those rings don't bounce around at all in the wind, and they stay out of the way. So like I mentioned, one of the fantastic things about this case is it includes this dovetail on the bottom, the Arca style quick release plate, and all my equipment uses the Arca Swiss plates. I used to use Manfrotto style quick release plates. I found them very heavy, a bit cumbersome, so I ditched them all, and I noticed a lot of manufacturers were using the Arca Swiss system anyway, so why not just go with it? For those of you who complain about the A7C's grip not being long enough, this does extend the grip a little bit lower, so you do have some more room for your pinky finger. The access to the battery is not a problem either. It is completely open. Unlike a lot of these half cases, there is no door to open. It's always open. And all the other controls you'll find are easily accessible as well. So it's really a beautifully designed case, and I couldn't be happier with my purchase on this one. So I've been using this on my camera for a while. Every time I look at it, it just kind of makes me happy. I don't know, it's a silly thing, but it does. It kind of makes me happy. I just love the way it looks. It feels great in my hands. So I've never really fallen out of love with this camera, but I do sort of feel like I've fallen in love all over again with the camera since putting this case on it. And chances are I won't be getting rid of this camera anytime soon. It's just really the perfect camera for me right now. So you won't be seeing any new camera reviews from me anytime soon. But you'll probably be seeing other accessory reviews, or definitely some lenses sometime in the future, although I'm pretty happy with most of the lenses I've got right now. But there are some other pieces of equipment I've been using. You'll notice that some of the shots I've been doing are with the slider. I swapped out my Edelkrone stuff for a Rhino slider. I'm really happy with it. It's just so turnkey and so easy to use. I'm just like using slider shots for everything. I did a slider shot of these socks, actually. Check these out. Here's another future collector's item. Got them from my sister and her husband out in California. They know that I'm a huge James Bond fan. Yeah, I absolutely love them. I love them so much that I'm afraid to start wearing them and start wearing them out. So I know it sounds kind of strange. Anyway, that's why that's why they still look the way they do. Anyway, but much like this shirt, you know, I will be wearing them eventually and happily be wearing them. And anyways, until next time, keep working to make your chosen idea reality. Yeah, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Hit that notification bell if you feel like it, you know, throw me like a thumbs up, or well, maybe not. And yeah. Oh, yeah, leave a comment below, maybe about some other episodes you might want to see. All right, until next time, see ya, bye.